Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Green Sports Alliance webinar, where we're excited to announce our exciting new campaign of ours called Play to Zero. My name is Brett Blumberg. I'm the Director of Sustainable Events and Analytics here at the Alliance, and we are joined by two close friends of ours, also leaders helping make sustainability tangible, actionable, valuable for our industry and our communities. First, we have Chris Pyke, Vice President of Product at Skoru, a subsidiary of GBCI and the analytical arm of USGBC's lead rating system. And next to him is Christy Briggs, Logistics and Sustainability Manager at Lumen Field, home to the Seattle Seahawks. So thank you both for joining today. We'll look forward to hearing from both momentarily. But before we get started, really want to be able to set us off with a couple of housekeeping items. If we can go on to the next slide here. Today's webinar recording and presentation slides will be emailed to all attendees following the session. The recording will also be available, as always, on our YouTube page if you want to go and check it out after. And of course, reach out to us if you have any questions at all regarding the webinar or the content of the webinar, and we'd be happy to answer. On the next slide, we want to remind you that registration is now open for the biggest annual event in sports and sustainability, our Green Sports Alliance Summit, which will be returning to a virtual format again this June. And finally, before we get started, just want to send a quick thank you to LNS Captioning for providing closed captioning services for today's session. So more information on how to use the service is included on the chat box on the right-hand side. Garrett Wong is providing some tech support as well today, so shout out to Garrett. Thank you for supporting. So let's get started here. And prior to diving into the details on the next slide here, we are excited to have launched our Play to Zero campaign this Earth Day alongside the team at ARC and the USGBC. And we want to offer our members this very short 30-minute presentation just to be able to introduce the framework and introduce the intent behind it. So I'll be going through an overview of play, and we hope that you can walk away feeling comfortable answering the following questions. Why Play to Zero? What Play to Zero is not? How can your organization find value in it, whether you represent a sports entity or what we call a solutions provider? How can play help translate sustainability performance into fan engagement and business value? And finally, how can you get started right now today? So after I go through this, I'll pass it off to Chris, who will pass it off to Christy, as they can bring their unique perspectives into the conversation. And although it's a short session, we hope to have time for Q&A at the end. So please feel free to use the questions box on your GoToWebinar panel. If we don't have time to get to it, we will follow up with all of your questions after the webinar. So before diving into the next slides, I just want to be able to frame this up to everybody and quickly answer that first question of why. Why Play to Zero, and why have we developed this product for our membership? At the Alliance, we really understand how short-handed many of our venues and clubs are as we continue to recover from this pandemic. And meanwhile, our climate emergency, our water resources, our mounting waste and pollution crises, they never quite disappeared while we were sheltered in our homes, and the fight for resiliency in our sector must continue at full strength. So as we turn the lights back on to our packed crowds again, we're faced with an opportunity here to really confront our environmental crises head on by improving our venue operations in a way that can increase business value while decreasing consumption. We can do so in a way that can recognize your efforts like never before, and we can do so by raising the environmental IQ of your fans and your communities, one engagement at a time. So whether you represent a sports organization, a brand, a consultant, or just an interested community member or student, we're all on this call right now because we know that sports can be much more than the games or matches within the field of play. And while we develop Play to Zero, we want you to understand that this is not a one-off flash in the pan campaign. It's a data and performance-based evolution of the Green Sports Alliance that each of our members are going to help us create. So it's time we unite and mobilize ourselves with new tools and new resources, and that is why we play. But I'll stop speaking so aspirationally now, and we can get started diving into the details here. So with that, we can pull the slides down. I'm sorry, let's just go on to the first slide here. Play is a leadership recognition platform and free sustainability performance toolkit to celebrate progress towards net zero energy, water, waste, and a resilient future. So we're going to be doing so by four main pillars. Number one, benchmarking your performance. Number two, creating custom roadmaps to help you achieve your targets. Number three, recognizing you for both achieving those targets and your journey towards those targets. And finally, learning how to and supporting you as you engage your fans and partners through this platform. So on the next slide, let's dive into each of those four. First of all, benchmarking. GSA members are going to gain access to our new Play portal, which is going to be a new sport-specific performance platform powered by ARC, which the customization is coming soon. And our Chris, when I pass it over to him, can dive into that a little bit more deeply. On the right-hand side here, we want to be able to demonstrate that this is not just going to be another platform in which we are going to be asking you to upload data. We want to make this as easy as possible, understanding how difficult it is right now, operationally speaking, for our industry and how short-staffed everybody is. If you already have data connections with existing service providers, we want to seamlessly integrate those into our system. And if you don't already have that, we want to support you with our partners or solutions to be able to get there. So moving on from that, on the next slide here, being able to really understand that this is not about just collecting data, and it's not just about a pat on the back. We want to be able to actually move our members towards performance targets. And so through your benchmarking, we want to be able to help you customize roadmaps to get to net zero energy, water, and waste. On the right-hand side here, this is really this opportunity for us not just to send you on your way, if you will, but for the Green Sports Alliance to support you on your journey, which is why we will be working with brands and corporate partners with products and services to be able to help get you to the next notch on the journey to zero. And on the next slide, this is not just about the operational performance, but it's about the recognition and the communication of success. So we will be recognizing participation, improvements, and ultimately when our members reach targets, we want to recognize those successes. And so we want to be able to recognize that through our award system and honoring you. And on the right-hand side here, being able to provide you with very easily digestible, easily communicated media kits for your fans and your communities through our program. And on the next slide, just diving in a little bit deeper to the business value around this, we want to be able to use this for corporate engagement to drive business value through sponsorship to help power your journeys to zero. And we want to be able to work with you along the way. And on the right-hand side, it's not just about corporate partners, but of course what the corporate partners want is really to engage fans here, and not just engage them, but to educate them and to raise the environmental IQ of our fan base to support both internal venue operations as well as behavior change when they return home to their communities. And so just that's a quick snapshot of what Play is. And quickly, I want to say what Play is not as well. So on the next slide here, just a couple of bullet points. This is not a public ranking. It's not a rating. It's not a competition among venues or leagues. It's also not a public disclosure mandate. All of your data that you either integrate into our system or upload yourself will be private to you unless you decide to go public with it. It's also not a public commitment to net zero carbon, though we will be incentivizing the journey towards it. And this is not a premium cost to access our new portal. There will be enhancements. We are currently finalizing the business model around that, and we will have updates soon. And on the next slide here, we want to show you how to get involved right now today. So if you are a venue, a team, a league, or a conference, you can sign up today at arcskoru.com/play, which Chris will be diving into, like I said, a little bit deeper. If you are already a member and you want to be involved in crafting this for our industry, please keep an eye out for an invitation coming soon. Non-members can learn how to get involved by connecting with Garrett Wong, our member services manager, at garrett@greensportsalliance.org. And if you are a brand, a consultant, a nonprofit that is looking to also help elevate our membership base towards our net zero ambitions, please contact Kristen Hansor, our senior partnership manager, at kristen@greensportsalliance.org, and we can have a conversation to see how we can support each other. And finally, on the next slide here, we want to just simply thank our launch partners for supporting us at our launch point on Earth Week of this year, and we look forward to working with each of you. Lumen Field, of which Christy can elaborate on and really dive into some more details there. So with that, we can pull these slides down, and I'll pass it off to Chris, who's going to dive a little bit deeper into the analytical capabilities of Play and how across the next several months we will together be building out this custom Play interface for you. So Chris, you can take it away.
Awesome. Hey, I am, Brett, I truly am excited. I mean, we've been on this journey for a year in this crazy COVID time, but to get to the launch of Play, and so bottom line, I want to tell you guys 5 quick things that build on where Brett took you. So first and foremost, so the vision of Play to Zero as a sports-specific, data-driven leadership program for the GSA community is spot on with both the technology we have at ARC and the mission we have at USGBC. So we are excited to take you further and give you new things and to align with that vision. So number one, we have vision and mission alignment with GSA, and we are excited to be a partner. That's right down to the DNA. The second part is, as Brett said, we want to give you guys the tools to get started today. We are going to be working with Brett and the GSA community, many of you, to create the sports-specific tools and criteria we need to power the play program. However, there's no need to wait. The great part about this is there are opportunities to start today for free using the existing ARC tools, whether you are managing an individual venue or you are managing an entire team. So for instance, your venue, your headquarters, your practice facilities, your supporting infrastructure, those can go right into ARC today as a set of facilities, what we call a portfolio. And in turn, we're going to use the same technology to measure and share what's going on across a league. The same things we did in many ways for the reentry program, only this time really absolutely core to our sustainability mission. So a lot of things we built before can come right out of the box, and many things we have now are going to be the basis for customization over the next 3, 6, or 9 months. So one of the things I'm excited to tell you guys about is how we are both going to support and guide that process. So Garrett and Brett and Roger are going to set up this GSA advisory group, and we are excited to take that input and create custom play to zero tools for individual facilities and the portfolios. So we really will be taking that input and implementing it within the tools that we have in the ARC landscape. That will also have as a co-benefit, providing if folks want it, a potential pathway to lead if they want that kind of thing. If not, this is an entirely independent program. The other exciting piece is the existence of an industry panel. This is something, if you guys are an old timer in the USGBC land, you might recognize as a corresponding committee. This is a way that we can engage every GSA member to provide input about the way that we go about crafting the criteria and the recognition in that program. So I'm super excited to create that industry panel. We'll interact with you via survey to present you with options, present you with ideas, and get iterative feedback. That's a really exciting thing. So the bottom line, to recap that, is we have tools in ARC today. Over the next 3, 6, 9 months, we will have sports-specific customizations of those tools based on input from the advisory group and the industry panel. It will provide opportunities for every GSA member to contribute and to use tools starting now. Our intention is to move fast and provide multiple rungs on the ladder for recognition for facilities, people, teams, and leagues. And I'll reinforce one last thing before handing it over to Christy. One thing that Brett said is really important. Our intention here is not to provide you with some other destination for your data. There's 2 things that are critical in that. One is ARC. It is integral to ARC that your data is private to you, unless you decide to make it available to someone else. And we are working aggressively to create automatic data connections with platforms you're already using, whether that's Energy Star Portfolio Manager, Measurable, Schneider, Waddix, you name it. And if we're not connected to them now, over the course of the play program, we will aggressively take your input and seek to make those connections. Those are free. They are part of the way that this program will work. So bottom line is, I want to express my enthusiasm for Brett and Roger and GSA's leadership in this space. We are enthusiastic about being a partner. We want to know that you can get started today and that this is going to build and add custom capability for the sports industry over the next 3, 6, 9 months. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christy and get an on-the-ground perspective about the group we are trying to help.
Thank you. I am going to hit on a couple words that came out in both Brett and Chris's presentation. Sport specific, integration, support, and roadmap. Man, those things are just so exciting to be able to be on board and go through this process with. The benchmarking and I have like 5 spreadsheets that I keep, and I have Energy Star, and I have all of these different things, and being able to pull it all together and bring it to folks that call me on a regular basis. What are we doing in this area? Or what are we doing in this area? Our PR team, our management team, our ownership, and being able to have a place where it can all come together and be presentable in a way that people can grasp and get. So that's one of the things I'm excited about, being able to show that business value. Again, when we make these decisions about sustainability, sometimes they aren't cheap and they aren't the flashy things, but they're the right things. And being able to show the business value through a program like this is huge. Being able to improve in our facility, we're a 20-year-old building, and it's time to start changing out systems, and being able to take this information and create that roadmap and have the support is going to be crucial to our next steps. And like many in my role, we wear multiple hats and events, and especially now as we start back in and we're dusting off cobwebs and we've got a lot going on, and being able to use this roadmap to get us going and to be able to pull all that information together is, again, crucial to what we do. Being able to coordinate, like Chris said, I kind of wear the role of team, venue, practice facility, and we're just now starting to pull all that information together and having a place where it all comes together, and my facility director at the practice facility and my facility director at the stadium can work together and see how we're doing and work to bring new things to our team is going to be a game changer. And the integration as we go for fan engagement and corporate partners and community involvement, those are all things that are going to be key in our programs as we move forward. And last is that celebration piece. Man, sports is all about celebrating, you know, the hoisting the Lombardi Trophy or the MLS Cup or all of these things. Those are what we do. And we talked about it not being a competition, but being able to recognize what each of us in this arena are doing to further the sustainability programs and to really make an impact on our environment. So bringing it together, the uniqueness of venues, teams, leagues, and connecting them all together will allow us to play in a new way. Brett, back to you.
Thank you, Christy. And, you know, I'm not seeing many questions here. Let me pull my webcam back up. So, you know, please do send your questions in if there are any, but thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Christy. I mean, those insights and additional opportunities for our attendees to really learn about this, it's truly important to hear. So thank you for that. We did just receive a question. Are building materials a factor in the roadmap, materials for concessions and packaging? So that is a very good question. First, before I answer, Chris, maybe I can pass this one to you. How would ARC typically manage building construction versus operational metrics and impacts on that front? And secondly, I think potentially an easier answer here would be concessions and packaging, and I can be happy to step into that one as well.
Awesome. Let's break it down into two parts. So, and actually, I think this goes to Christy's emphasis on sports specific. So we know that managing consumable supplies is a major aspect of venue management. That is got a deep sports specific thing to it. So going to Brett's question, so our one thing I can tell you is that the way that ARC deals with solid waste today, we focus on operational municipal solid waste in two components, both generation and diversion. And in concept, that leads in a straight line to the kind of metrics that are used in the true zero waste rating system. So we're hoping to reduce generation, i.e. using less single-use plastics, and then to increase diversion of those that we do use. I expect that there will be some tailoring based on the GSA community as to what that means exactly for the kind of facilities that you guys are operating on the ground. Maybe that's a question for Christy actually as well, to say, hey, how do those basic premises of the reduction in generation, the increase in diversion relate to something specific like the concession system?
Again, being able to collect that data and show it somehow. I was just asked this question yesterday and I hadn't given a lot of thought, but being able to even get down to the finite of each concession stand and what they're bringing in and what they're generating is something that I think others in our industry are looking for and looking to collect that information, and there just isn't been a great place for that. And so as we begin to build this out, that may be one of those things that we say, okay, what are we looking to find? Is it, what are we bringing into that stand, and then what is coming out of it, and different things like that.
It's hey, Brett, one quick thing to build on what Christy said, is it one nice thing about that is that the structure of ARC today means if you were literally managing a concession stand or a set of stands, you could set that up as a project within your venue. And so the venue and the concession stand could be different. So actually on day one, if you just wanted to track waste at concession and roll that up to your venue as a little mini portfolio, we can support that, and it's something fun to talk about. So there's a way forward.
Yeah, thank you for that to both of you. And we did just receive another question, and Chris, maybe I'll pass this one to you as well. Will Play be available in other countries? Will it work with other platforms and data integrations in other languages, or how does that typically work from ARC's perspective and the transition into Play?
Great question. Love that. ARC is the international stepchild of the USGBC universe. We operate today in 127 countries. We have more than a dozen languages concurrent. So the ability to do to deliver in multiple languages, I know we just added Italian in the last month, and it goes from A to Z. Just as a sense of ARC's traditional user base, actually 55% of the 20,000 projects that are in there and active today are outside the US, only 45% are inside the US. The most dominant places are Mexico, Canada, and India. So there's lots of opportunities abroad, depending on how GSA membership wants to pursue this. The basic capabilities to support multiple languages and international emissions factors from the International Energy Administration are baked in and ready to go.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you for that. Christy, I'm going to switch over to you really quickly on a fan engagement side. Have you traditionally tapped into fans for data collection purposes or performance, whether it be Scope 3 fan travel or anything like that? And based on that, I would love to add a little bit of insight about where we're going with Play to support that.
So we have not traditionally. I have looked into different ways that we can engage fans in. Just this last Earth Week, we started a little bit of engaging them in trying to get feedback on how they were going to implement the ideas we were giving them of a meatless Monday or waste-free Wednesday or different things that we did, but we have not tracked and used them in our data collection to this point.
Meatless Monday Night Football does sound pretty enticing. But yes, I just to build on that, so the Play platform will be coming out of the gates with energy, water, and waste, the traditional venue facilities management categories. As we build forward from there, we are going to be tying into additional impact categories around our food systems, around our Scope 3 travel, and even some social metrics that may come out in the future. Please stay tuned for that. But in regards to the fan impacts, we'd love to just add that we are exploring opportunities utilizing ARC's existing surveying system and an opportunity to track transportation emissions into Play. So know that that is coming, and the amount of fan engagement that is required is dependent upon the facility managers themselves. But know that that will be available, as Chris said, in the development period. So it does look like we are about tapped out on the questions there. So really just thank you all for joining us today. It's been just such a pleasure being able to speak about Play and to develop this alongside you all. We gave you your call to action on that previous slide, Garrett. If we may be able to jump back up to that as we close out here. And just want to thank you for joining us today. We are excited for sports to get back online, full force, fans back in stadiums, and we're just excited to continue this journey to zero with you all. So with that, have a great rest of your day, and we'll speak with you next time.